Yeah, there's like no right answer.
Do you have a phone charger?
Yes.
Thank you. That was so squishy.
Matt, you know why? She was like, she has
What?
Did you see the sustainability committee?
What?
She's like, she asked me to box her. Yeah, you see that? Something got one of the girls in the week.
Could be me, it could be. Instead of what?
Instead of being like, can someone box her? Well, the rest of them like,
Nah, I didn't
the rest of them are coming behind her.
Nothing there.
Some do things about ways to have this is one thing.
Oh, these things. So just this?
There's nothing out there, just want to show people like
Awesome. Oh, so okay, so you're presenting the idea for the board?
yeah.
Do you want to take like a straw poll and like who agrees like that?
Yeah.
It is, so it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, exactly. Because people like say like that's why I have the list of all the stuff Am I on? Am I? No. I'm bored, right? Yeah.
That happened.
Yeah.
But it's so many stuff.
I mean, if even one person something I'm gonna make all the teams.
Kate here. Is that Kate? Start. Okay. Hello, everybody. How's it going? The regular weekly meeting of the Senate of the Student Government Association is now in session. This meeting is being recorded live. Minutes, please, Keith.
Dewey Wilman, Henry Marius, Charlie Burns, Brent Clark, Tommy Riccio. That's it. I'd like to commend the class of 2022 for having perfect attendance this meeting.
That's sort of weak. President, please.
We did have 35, so yeah.
Wow. We're voting on some stuff today, okay. President reports, please.
Hello, folks. I imagine the top of your agenda is, well, top of your mind is kind of like what they announced just a few minutes ago. The email is confusing for a variety of reasons, but I guess from our standpoint is we still have to operate when we come back. Oddly enough, elections will still have to run, and I think we have to put contingency plans in place, and even whether or not we should be having Senate every 2 weeks is still, well, every week is unclear as well. So I think we're probably gonna Kate and I might call this an emergency leadership meeting before we all head out for spring break, just to kind of figure out what needs to happen as far as like committee meetings, Senate, cabinet, all the sorts, just to kind of protect people when they do come back from spring break. As far as elections go, we're gonna, Emma and the election commissioners are probably gonna have a conversation, but it definitely will. I'm glad we moved to the format of it being more digital now. Oddly enough, it kind of like preemptively gets ahead of the issue of kind of like close-knit gathering. So I think on that front we should be fine. But as far as campaigning, it'll probably be a little difficult given the circumstances that we can't really function as a university until April 19th. I also know a lot of people were saying that the university doesn't have the students' best interest at heart. I want to remind you all that like they have been working on this for about probably like a week. And it also this isn't an easy decision for them to make. Some people may say that kind of like school closures like preemptively like this are kind of, or like other universities are doing is kind of a lot. And also like Hamilton is taking the other extreme of not really doing anything at all. But this is probably like the best case scenario that they can come up with unless the situation changes. Probably not ideal for some, but I think the best part for us to do is to really just encourage like social responsibility on the part of people. It behooves me that people are still trying to go to Europe for spring break. No, you have to encourage your classmates not to do that. We all are still at risk, whether or not we believe so, of kind of like contracting the coronavirus, and especially so kind of once we come back from spring break, since we don't know where people have gone. So please encourage your friends in group meets that if they have any dangerous or kind of like inconsiderate travel plans, to please change them, at least for the sake of the university. It's just an uncomfortable time, and I think from the CDC and the doctors from the federal government, we are to be expecting disruptions for probably the next 2 months. So just kind of like prepare for that. As I said before, we will try to keep things somewhat normal, but I definitely think our operations will probably change, and we'll have to explore kind of how student government operates when we can't meet as one communal body as we would like to. But yeah, we'll try to come up with something, if not like before spring break, something during, just so that we know kind of like how to operate on those things, which is really unfortunate. But on the brighter side, we're no longer broke. Nick, would you like to explain that?
So I've been meeting with Dean Cochran, regularly trying to figure out what's been going on. So what happened was, we actually got about $4,500 of rollback from last year's administration. So that rollback, with our about approximate balance of like negative $1,800, somewhere the math is done, we have about $2,500. However, I do not want this, oh, we have money to turn into, oh, let me get in everything I need to get in right now because we have money, but more so of a, we need to fund things that need to be funded. State Association up in the air because of attendance. However, in case it does happen, we need funding for that. Chorus for seniors, we need funding for that. Elections, we need funding for that. If you do have something that you think is super, super important, that you really want to get passed, that would require funding, or if, I don't know, people in cabinet aren't here, but if there's something that comes out you really want to do and it's not that expensive and you feel it's really pressing, please reach out to me, because it's going to be a big chance that I'll say no or encourage you to maybe think about doing this in the following year. But we're not broke. It is really great. The Maroon News was writing a story about it. I contacted them, letting them know that we are no longer broke. So hopefully a story like that won't run. It probably still will, but so yeah, we're not going to $2,500. So yes, that's all from me.
That'll be a happy ending to the story. But I think probably, and I spoke to Kate Henchy, co-editor-in-chief of the Maroon News, but I think the conversation does turn into how much power does SGA have as a body? Are we truly kind of somewhat equal with the other two counterparts being the administration and the faculty? We're technically supposed to be the third part of that kind of that check and balance system. I don't know if they treat us that way. But that's, again, for you younger senators, it's something that if you want to take up, that's up for you to decide if that's what you want to do. But I do think, especially in situations like this, Kate and I and the rest of the executive staff are a little frustrated with kind of the lack of communication that we got from the administration about certain things related to coronavirus response, and we fully believe that SGA should be involved in more of those decision-making situations. But for that point, it is more of a story of how much power that we have as a body when we're supposed to be equal to everybody else.
Sorry, I'm late, everyone. I was just from my mom. But
Yeah, also some big tool in them are not broke anymore, which is great.
cool. Very cool.
Yeah, and on top of that, you probably can't plan any actual programming considering we can't be around each other when you do come back.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. So we will still try to have State of the Association, assuming the situation and the states don't get worse and they might have to extend things out.
We will reevaluate, what was it, April 3rd, 15th? In that deadline, or that window, so we'll start to talk about what's gonna happen at the end of the semester then, I think.
Yeah,
It
but we
will-
will have continuous.
Yeah, unfortunately, Compton, the safety association will be smaller in past years because CLSI has removed themselves from the function.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Fun.
Yeah, so it's basically just SGA, so CLSI will not be doing their own show of awards.
Wow. look
So
at
it
that.
will be inherently smaller, which will mean it will cost less, which will be great.
That is cute.
Yeah.
That is really
Do we need it? Like, what is it for?
It's in our constitution that we must have it.
It's the inauguration basically.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of where the new people come in, we sing our swan song, and you all never see us.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as projects, like I said, we'll see how Senate should be in the next few weeks. I mean, I still have a couple pieces of legislation for you all, but we'll just.
Technically, we're not in violation of anything, and assuming that like nobody else comes, so I think it's up to you guys and Matt if you want to meet as a body, and
Yeah.
we'll kind of just let you guys decide that autonomously, but.
Yeah.
Also, we understand that if people are congregating and there's like fears about like people in spaces and like what we touch, then that's also something to consider too.
Yeah. So we'll have our own little executive powwow, but as for that, we'll. Is there any questions from us on things? Yeah.
I was just wondering, like, so does Senate actually have like the power to like make an amendment to the plan for the coronavirus? Like, do we actually have the control to do that, or is it more of like we just sort of discuss our
We're supposed to
In-
be involved in the
Yeah,
conversation.
in theory, if you had written a resolution for today, it could have passed and been like a subjection to school, or last week, but that's like,
yeah.
how would you have known that was the timeline? Also, we were invited on some of the things, I'm like, it just seems like a lot changed in the last 24 hours, which I understand given the way that other universities reacted, and also like new information. But I think that's, I think basically the messaging we were getting yesterday versus the plan that actually came out are two very different things.
Yes, I was surprised. They really said we're not like the other schools. Like we're gonna do hybrid, so.
Yeah, I think it's like really flexible and sharing, but also.
Is that going to be a kind of like clarification of that message going out? Because people
I think
are
so.
very.
I think so. Honestly, I think they knew a lot of people were kind of like panicking today and they wanted to get things out sooner rather than later. So they don't have the time to kind of detail everything, but I'm pretty sure, like I was walking past Dean Hux's office and I think they were all still meeting like past that. So they're still trying to figure out, they still have to send out a message to the faculty. So I think the cards are just falling, but they're just letting people know how to deal with things for spring break, and I'm pretty sure they'll have more guidance after that.
I'm a little confused as to like some of the, like, how you just make sure that everyone's back on campus by that date, if nobody's showing up to classes and things like that. Like that to me seems, I mean, obviously like the virtual stuff, but like for students who live off campus, like, there's no way it will really, it's kind of just crazy to me. So I think there's like a lot of stuff that to figure out, different accountability and whatnot, but I think this is like the week for them to do it.
Yeah, also if a registry does come out trying to detail where you did travel, please encourage your friends to fill that out as well. That
And fill out honestly too, because it's realistically not gonna affect people of our age demographic.
But it's need to know.
Yeah, like people in the community.
Yeah, also don't go on a cruise. Don't, actually don't. Yeah,
I guess also, I mean, kind of to reiterate the message, like final points about what the message that Chris and I sent out a little while ago, like, kind of this is a time to check your privilege too, right? Like, not wanting to go home, not wanting to go on your trip, like, or like wanting to go home, wanting to go on a trip, like, these are things obviously that's frustrating you don't be able to do. Or maybe like, you know, you're realizing that it would be selfish of you to do that. I'm not saying that there isn't, but there are a lot of students who won't be able to go home for not only now, but for the entire summer, right? People from level 3 to 4 countries, students with autoimmune diseases, faculty with autoimmune diseases for predispositions. And also like how like class factors into this. I know it's been a big discussion today. But yeah, so it's just something to keep in mind as we like, you know, obviously make a lot of jokes and things like that, and memes and jokes. It's just like consider the way in which this is impacting other people's lives and people who might have family in quarantine right now. Things like that.
Got a fun agenda.
And Usman, what do you want first? Do you want?
It's the other one. So I was gonna give the governance board reports today, but I didn't get a lot of responses. So if you see your name here, then respond to me to the Google form. But I'm planning to change the format a little bit. So instead of having you guys fill out a Google form, we'll have like a in-Senate presentation every month. So I discussed it with Matt earlier. So we'll have the committee reports bi-weekly. So because it's just, I think not the most efficient thing in terms of time to have all the committees report every week. So we'll have 4 committees present on their like updates 1 week, and the next week the other 4 committees, and then this I can repeat for the next 2 weeks, and then on the 5th week, which is like the end of the month, we'll have all the governance board kind of present on what their progress has been, because the governance boards kind of move more slowly than the committees because they don't meet as often. So we'll be filling out things to the PowerPoint. So we'll be filling out like this PowerPoint kind of a thing, where every committee would be like listing what they have done. So I'll share it with all of you. And my like aim is to have like 2 of these presentations filled out by the end of the semester, so we leave something tangible behind for the upcoming senators next year, so they have like something to kind of gauge an idea about what the governance boards have been doing and what they can do better moving forward. So this is with regards to the governance boards. Secondly, I was going to meet with Esther, and that meeting finally happened last week. So it's about having discussions around IGD, because that's like a topic that came out of the roundtable we did earlier in the semester. So instead of, many people said like it should be a mandatory component of your like Colgate education, maybe included in the core curriculum and all that kind of a thing. But we all know like it's really difficult to kind of get administration to approve that kind of thing, like make it mandatory. So what I talked with Esther about was maybe have like smaller IGD sessions inside the residence halls for the first years and second years, so they like kind of realize the importance of these discussions right off the bat, like when they actually enter Colgate. So maybe have like one IGD kind of a thing every 2 weeks for like one building. So like maybe the first week of the month for Curtis, and then 2 weeks after for Drake or something like that. Because IGD also works better for like smaller groups instead of having like 100 people there where no one's talking. So that's kind of the plan moving forward. And I think that's pretty much it from my side. Any questions? Thank you.
Gracie couldn't make it today, but she wanted to let everyone know that the senior dance went really well and that the sophomore declaration day went well. So I'm sorry I couldn't do it in as cheery as a voice, but Karen.
Alright, so I wanted to go over the bylaws real quick because I worked a lot on them last week, and there are several things that need changing. Do you mind if I go over there just
Yeah, of course.
quickly? So, let's see. So basically, everything that's highlighted in orange are things that need to be worked on, but I don't necessarily know how to fix them on my own. Usually just because they're big things. So I have ideas for how we could fix this. We don't have a student organizations committee anymore. We haven't this entire year. And the vice president of student organizations next year will largely be in charge of this, but because it goes from a committee to one person doing this job, there are some things that need to be worked out that I have ideas on how to do it, but I'd like to work with the GAC on that because your opinion together will probably be better than just mine. And then, let's see, so that's mostly that. Everything that's in green are things that I'll need to work on but haven't been able to change yet. So elections procedures after the handbook is passed, hopefully this meeting, then I'll need to change those things, but as of now, they're standing. Things in yellow are things that I changed, and then the comment next to it are just what the clause used to be. So that's just in accordance with the constitutional revision. After I'm done with this, it won't be yellow anymore. So that's something else I need to change. And then the blue things are things that also need to be changed, but they're very minor changes, and just includes wording. And for those of you who are on the GAC, I know that there are a lot of people in cabinet who are going to be coming to you with minute things, so I've already started bills to change these to help you guys out a bit, but those will be finished over break, so I'll share them with everyone in GAC and you guys can edit it accordingly as you see fit. And then hopefully once we have a meeting after break, if we have a meeting after break, then we could pass those and get all of that fixed. But that's it. So for those of you who are on GAC, I encourage you to look through the bylaws at the things that I highlighted, or see if there's anything else that you would like to change, and work on that a little bit. And it doesn't just have to be for GAC. For those of you who have never written a bill or a resolution before and would like to get started on something, because I've already gotten a lot of it started, that would be good for you to just jump on, because then you can see how it works. But does anyone have any questions about the bylaws or anything? No? Okay, that's it. I just wanted to go through that with you guys. Thanks, Matt.
So today, everyone has to, all the committees have to report, just because that's written in the bylaws, but we're going to do an amendment to make sure that you only 4 groups go each time, which will save us all time, and then it's honestly just makes more sense, because you're going to have more information every 2 weeks to present on stuff. And then I'll be meeting with each of the chairs, probably weekly, just so we can kind of coordinate and communicate across them, which should be good. But overall, I'm just pretty excited for our committee structure, and I think it'll help us get a lot done. Not only for the rest of this semester, but we set a great groundwork for next year's Senate to get a lot of stuff done. But is there anyone, oh no, now we go to committee reports, all right. Who's the chair of student affairs?
Hi.
Okay.
So the chair, is our secretary, and basically we're just working on like going more into like how to differentiate speakers and trying to find a mechanism to bring them to Senate no matter like what they're speaking about. So we're working on that currently, so next week or the week after, or literally whatever we're, meeting again, we'll probably have more and a little bit more.
Awesome. And then chair of the dining committee.
Hello. So we met today and we talked about possibly working with dining services to look at the Chobani survey and see what can be changed there. And also working with Joelle, who's on the committee, about the food insecurity project. She mentioned that the proposal went over really well with the food insecurity committee, and that they're seeing how it will work with financial aid. And then they still need approval from McLaughlin and dining services, but that it went over really well.
Then student outreach.
Okay, Aaron is the secretary. So we discussed the fact that many people in the body don't know that we even exist. So we want to improve transparency and communication. And that's working with the Instagram page, the webmaster, and also perhaps we might send weekly reports on what we will do in Senate and what we have done in the previous. And of course you can unsubscribe if you want to. And we might have PSAs on, what we do, just so more people can be aware that we exist and understand what we do, and we can have meetings with the student body if they would so desire.
Then governance affairs.
So I'm one of the like 3 co-chairs who want to kind of beef it up. And so we're like kind of focused on like internal stuff as opposed to like how we can connect with outside groups, so it's like a little bit different. We kind of had a slow start, if I'm being honest, but we're kind of just working now to collaborate, figure out like what we need to address internally, kind of like figure out what processes and like stuff within our body and just like function has to be changed. And there's a few things, Ben Becker's not here right now, but there are a few things he brought up, that I don't really remember unfortunately, but a few different projects that like he had come up with, and then something else too that's like slipping my mind, but we'll, you know, bring that stuff forth to you guys, because our goal is to help remove sort of like the internal bumps, and you know, usually like we want our problems to be relating to other groups, not like ourselves, so that's kind of our goal this semester. So yeah.
Awesome. And then diversity and inclusion.
Hey guys, Fiona's the secretary. We talked about 3 things. We talked about like the meeting that Fiona and I recently had with Tara, Bubble, and Barry Ross in admissions. We were just talking to them about like how we can like just make the admissions process more diverse, and like talking to them about like what schools they go to, like how young they target kids and stuff through like community-based organizations and stuff like that, and just like thinking about continuing that conversation with them. The second thing we talked about was just the roundtable that we had recently, and like thinking about like which groups were invited and which weren't, and like thinking about like how to, I guess like adjust that in the future, and like making sure to like keep it going in the future. And then the last thing we talked about was just like making the HRC a place for students of color again, possibly. Also thinking about doing something with the Creative Arts House, and possibly making it a Black Guys House. We don't know about that yet, so just thinking about those things.
And then sustainability.
Hi, my name is Genevieve. We didn't get a chance to meet this week, but if you know anything that you would like to change or to have us think about with regards to sustainability, please send me an email or group me. Genevieve McCarthy.
And then I'm part of that group as well, and we're definitely going to work with you, Sorrel, on dining, especially on the July. I think that's a good place to start, and also with Coop. So definitely look forward to working with you. And then academic affairs.
Facilities and stuff.
Facilities, please.
Hi guys, so unfortunately we don't have a secretary position filled at the moment, however, we briefly met earlier.
I will fill.
Secretary.
Okay,
never mind.
CV Glover is the secretary now.
As of moments ago, sorry.
Okay, no worries. So Matt and I just briefly discussed the possibility of working on any leftover projects from last year's Facilities and Services Committee, in addition to working on the student poll we want to send out to hear any complaints or changes which to be made to our current facilities and services, and just kind of working off that. And that's essentially it.
Then last one, academic affairs. Is the chair here? I'll check who it is. All right. Oh, they didn't give me a chair.
Is there, who's on anyone?
It's Dewey, Tommy, Claire S, Sarah H, and Almarachi. It's literally over 5.
Yeah, we didn't meet, and I don't necessarily plan on being the chair, so I don't know if maybe it would work, so I'm sorry.
Well, do you guys have a group chat started?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you figure that out, just
Yeah,
let me know.
report back to you.
Sweet. Thanks. And then, is there anyone in the student body that would wish to speak?
Yeah. So, hello everyone. My name is, do I have to stand up?
Yeah, you can stand up from wherever.
I'll stand. My name is Max. I'm a freshman. I'm from Germany. I'm here because I have a friend who said who's in the Senate and said this is a place where students can voice concerns and things they have on their minds. I'm from, again, I wanted to mention, I'm from Germany, international student, born and raised, first year in the States. I wanted to just say something about the coronavirus not a trigger warning. I'm a realist. I'll just speak openly. If anybody has problems with what I'm saying, please leave or come talk to me afterwards. Also, all of what I say is my personal opinion, and I'm not an expert. Right? So I think that personally, I think that the policy that the school has adapted is insufficient in meeting the goals that it desires to achieve. And I have specific reasons to believe that. First of all, as I said, I'm from Germany, and my dad has been in constant contact with me. Italy's under full national lockdown. This is not a drill. This is a pandemic. And we're kind of used to getting away with things easily. This is not going to be a time where that's the case. Most of us are not in danger. Everyone is safe. But each of us has loved ones that are potentially in danger. And so we have to think about what we do and what our actions have. You might not get sick, or you might get sick, but you won't get anybody in your family sick. But if you get someone sick who has someone who's a risk patient, that could be a problem. And so the university has urged students not to travel. I've been in frank and I've overheard conversations. The general sentiment is that people will, in large parts, still travel, and also to Europe. That is the case. I will not travel to Europe. I will stay in the States, but because I believe I have the duty to do so. But that's just personal opinion. The reason why I believe this is a problem is because other schools have been shutting down, and people have been voicing the fact that that might be very strict. But I believe that if we say, okay, we'll have people reconvene on campus and classes will continue online, which I think is a great step. I think that is the right move to have, because that will definitely eliminate risk for faculty members who are in risk groups, which was very important to me, that we take care of our faculty members, and that is a great step in the right direction. But I think that it's insufficient because, first of all, dormitories are hotspots for contamination and also long-term contamination. I personally, when there's flu season or stuff, I talk to my peers and we get, I don't know, disinfectant sprays, but I don't know if I have the feeling that based on what I get up relatively early, so I see the faculty move, the staff move around, there isn't that much disinfection going on regarding handles or things like that. And so I've been fairly convinced that that's kind of concerning. And also students at Colgate have, I love our student body, I love the university, but students here have a habit of going to class when they're sick. And so they will behave, that's a symptom of how they will behave also in other situations in life when they feel sick. That's just putting out there. Now, my main concern that I wanted to get to, sorry for speaking first of all, is that having students reconvene on campus and still engage with each other in such a way that facilities will stay open, theoretically, will cause delayed cycles of chain infection, which specifically means that someone will get sick. Someone will bring the virus here. If we're very lucky, no one will. Highly unlikely. Even if that's not the case, people will be impacted. Communities will be impacted. The United States is a great country. This is a really good country. We have a really good country. But it is not perfect. And health systems everywhere will be overcharged with this virus. The problem here is going to be that someone will bring it back, likely. Probably, first of all, I want to clarify two facts, which we know are true. The actual infection numbers that we have on sites like Johns Hopkins are significantly lower than the actual infection numbers, because most people don't even feel like they have it, and only those 5% who really feel like they have severe enough symptoms to justify a visit to the hospital will likely even get tested. And of those who go to the hospital to get tested, as we have learned now recently, some of them will just get deferred because they do not meet the specific criteria for testing. So the actual black numbers of infected are significantly higher than what we see on the data. Now, secondly, there's a 2-week incubation period, plus or minus. And in this period, people of our age usually have no symptoms at all, or we can also get through the virus being infectious without even feeling that we have it. Now, here's the point. If somebody brings it to the school, and I'm not scared of the virus personally. As I said again, this is me just thinking about the broader aspects of things. Somebody might bring it to the school, and if that happens, because of the way dormitories work, and we will all, eat in the same places and potentially go to the gym where things get nitty and gritty and sweaty and body fluids are exchanged, necessarily. That is how it works. There will be small areas of infection within Colgate, inevitably. And here's the problem with keeping students on campus but not having them go to class. And I'll finish in just a second, I'm sorry, I don't want to go over time. Is that someone will always happen. We cannot reconvene normal progress at the 20th of April with someone on campus still having it, because that will simply delay the actual outbreak. As long as one student here has it, and Colgate students engage in the behavior they have been behaving with when they are sick, we will have an outbreak as long as somebody has it. And because people will only, will most likely stay within their rooms, hopefully, or they all go out and party, we never know. People will get sick with delay. So it's not everybody's going to get sick and then we're okay, which also would never be the case because we're not going to be okay. In that sense, it's a virus. But people will get sick with delay, which means that someone will have it, someone will pass it on, then there's going to be, these groups of people will not meet that fast, then they'll meet again somewhere else, then maybe somebody touches a handle, another one touches a handle, and it keeps going, and it stays in the system, and it delays. Let's say which I don't think will, even if we employ this model, we won't reconvene on 20th of April. It will then lead to the outbreak that we're trying to avoid, which is why I'm saying this policy is insufficient. I think we should cancel classes until the end of the semester, which is harsh, which is severe, and I know that people are in personal situations where that might be hard for them financially, personally, I don't know, not everybody may be great with their families at home, whatever, and then I'm very sorry, but that's my personal opinion.
Thank you for sharing your concerns, Matt. I think a lot of us in the student body have those exact concerns, and I look forward to addressing that later in the agenda when we can discuss maybe the power that we have and the steps that we could possibly take to make change to what was laid out for us. So thank you again for coming and sharing those concerns. Is there anyone else in the student body that wishes to speak? Okay.
Hi, Joanna. I don't know if anyone in the room could actually answer this anymore, but if the quarantine is happening until April 19th, doesn't that mean that SPW is essentially canceled and the VAC actually does have more money? I think.
Like I mentioned this earlier, I think there's a lot of departments that have just taken this directive underhand and they have no idea what's going on. They can see those eyes for themselves. Any of that money probably won't be touched until next year, given the circumstances. Like I'll just put that out. It'll happen. It'll come back as rollover. So I have no idea how that's gonna happen. But there's a few departments just wait a few days from communication with them regarding that, because they still have to. There's a lot of things that have to be sorted out before we leave for spring break. So that's what I'll say to that.
Is there anyone else? Okay, awesome. Now we have a proposal for recognition. Habibi Beats?
Yes.
Yes.
Am I good here? Oh, yeah, sorry, my handwriting's not the best. Hi everyone, my name is Anna Janeski. I'm a first year and I'm the president of the Arabic Music and Culture Club, fondly known as Habibi Beats. And so I guess I'm just here asking for funding. I know you guys just got some money, so yay, but for next year, because I know that it's going to be probably hard to get anything this semester. So I guess if you guys want me to read the goal of our club, or our mission statement. So the goal of the Arabic Music and Culture Club is to teach interested students how to play Middle Eastern instruments while promoting cross-cultural understanding. We hope to spark curiosity and foster learning outside the traditional classroom setting. Even though we might not have a classroom setting anymore. This is next year, inshallah. Anyways, so basically, like, why we need the money is, you know, instruments. If anyone from here like is a musician, you know that it's expensive. And we don't really have any instruments at Colgate that are particular to our club's needs. Like, we want special Middle Eastern instruments and like lutes and drums and things like that are expensive. And also we hope to host events and maybe collaborate with Alana, use our kitchen, things like that. We also plan to bring in musicians to kind of help teach students how to play a certain style of music, and ultimately we hope to perform at certain events. So if anyone have any questions? If not, maybe step out.
Yeah, are there any motions?
Motion.
Is there a second? Awesome. All those in favor? Yeah, can you step out for a second, please?
No.
Is Adam here?
Are we voting now?
Yes.
Okay, it started. Yeah. No one said no.
Yes?
No one said no.
Okay, awesome. Where did she go? Did she go? Yeah.
I can go.
Yay. All right, sorry for the wait, Phoebe and Georgie. Now we're on to election handbook. So we're going to vote on it today.
So, does anybody want to go through? We kind of made, since our discussion, we just clarified a few points. The main being that violation, that was like 20% of perceived kind of reach. We changed that to our discretion, so we'd make it across the board, because like if we're doing it all online, it doesn't make sense if your post reached 10,000 people to take away 20% of those impressions. So it's going to be kind of situational, but definitely we'll apply the same numbers, and we'll be very transparent for why that decision will be being made, and those $20 were all corrected. And so the first deadline that candidates have to meet is this Thursday, and in this manual with like signed to CLSI, and obviously like because of the situation, there's a chance that the petition signatures might have to be solicited electronically, but other than that, the election, it's like basically already going to be run online, so it would actually like really not be affected by the situation. So I don't know.
Any questions?
Any motions?
Motion to vote.
Yes, is there a second? Okay, all those in favor? Great. Adam, voting procedures?
Okay. Oh, sorry, yeah. Okay. 30 said yes, 3 said no, so that passes.
Wait, could whoever said no raise their hand? Like, or does anyone want to give an explanation? Okay. Just so I don't know.
Encourage, like, if anyone has any
That's exactly
further
what I'm
concerns, reach out
You
to
can
us
just
later.
ask people to say
Okay.
Feel free to reach out.
Feel free if you have any
I can
concerns.
request that people do that. There's no law saying I can't. They don't have to, but I can make that request.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
So if anyone wants to, you can. But
Okay, just because we're trying to make it the best handbook if anyone has any concerns. Okay. Sounds good. All right, now we have a really cool bill coming up. Christina, do you want to come down here and explain what you're doing?
I'm Christina, and I'm the Sustainability Coordinator on the Presidential Cabinet. And we have a really exciting resolution idea that I welcome you all to read and consider as a senator if you'd like to co-sponsor it. So basically, the aim of this bill is to help GLO, Greek letter organizations, become more sustainable as their houses stand. So specifically, the title of it is a resolution for Greek letter organizations, practices for energy efficiency, sustainable materials management, and residential education. And so sustainable materials management is a fancy way of saying waste. So basically just trying to get houses to be energy efficient, properly recycle, reduce waste, and then just educate students about conserving energy and water. So this is especially exciting because it fits in really well with what SGA can do as an organization. We can put out this resolution and to kind of the CLSI leaders and the presidents themselves of organizations and say, hey, this is what we recommend as a student body that you do, and here's some step-by-step ways that you can do that. And so that would be a proper and appropriate thing for us to do. And so basically the next steps are, now that it's drafted in full, the next steps are to get feedback from you as senators, feedback from any other student on campus. I'll be meeting with the sustainability chairs for the Greek letter organizations the next time they meet, which probably won't be, actually now that I think about it, that's going to be an issue, but we might do an audio meeting, we'll see. So the next steps are to get feedback from them, get feedback from you, get some co-sponsors that are senators, and then basically get it passed. So any questions or? Yeah.
Is this going to be enforced?
So resolution is different than a bill. It's not a bill, so it's not going to be enforced. This is just a recommendation. It's voluntary. Does anyone right now, can you raise your hand if you'd be willing to not necessarily be a sponsor, but to look at it and consider being a sponsor? Okay, cool. So I will be available after this to talk about it. I will also put something in the all SGA group me that you can say like you would like to you can like this message if you'd like to consider, and then I'll put you all in a group me, and then we can think about it, do it digitally and think about it. But yeah, I'll be available after to talk about it.
And then I think we're gonna invite Christina to our next sustainability meeting. So then I'll send out the time and the date that we're meeting, so whoever wants to come can come and join the discussion on this.
Sounds good. Thank you all. And if you have any questions, I will be here after.
And now we have the textbook loan program. It's a presentation, right?
Okay. So this is, I don't know if anyone from last year remembers that DZ wanted to start a textbook loan program using SGA money, and people would apply for loans, and there was something that was illegal about it. And then someone reached out to Kate from Claremont McKenna about a program that they have there, and she knew that I was interested in it last year, so I talked to the person, and it's really interesting, and I know that we're all really busy and concerned, but I want to hear what you guys all think. Okay, so pretty much, I wonder if I can make this bigger. Oh yeah, here. This is the person that founded it and created the software. This is what it looks like, the interface, and it's actually live right now. I can go to it. It's, but we would have our own like specific one. That's what it is. And you like find a book, and then you just type it in, and you're supposed to be able to go pick it up at like varied times, but that's something I'm gonna get into. So we would have it would be like /Colgate. pretty much people donate. I don't know if anyone ever tried to sell back a book last year, and of course they do the thing where they buy it for like $2 or they don't buy it at all. But they have a bin right next to it that is donations, and if people go to the coop, they don't want to like bring it back in the hopes they'll sell it on Amazon or something. So it fills up like crazy. And I don't know where those donations are going, but we could make them ours because most professors use the same books over and over again. And so great sustainability initiative, but also like the price of textbooks is egregious at times. And so this was Claremont McKenna's first year of it. The people that participated, they collected more books than 840, but those were the ones that were then like loaned out next year. So it seems like it really worked for them. And this is kind of, so this is one of my concerns. Wait, let me grab a pen. But pretty much like I am unsure about who would work on it too, because I could be like the main coordinator with Viniam, but it would need like a bigger team of people. So I want to see if people are interested in that and whether this should be like a specifically SGA thing, because it wouldn't necessarily have to, but it would be better that way because there's a cost that I will talk about. And yeah, so it only is just one like Skype meeting of setting up how to use the site. So it's not too much like back and forth in that sense. This was just like the process that they had of people reserving, and like they advertised it, I guess, which is something that we should also do, I think. The site configuration, they do, but we like learn how to use it through the portal that they have. But the issues are, so about the cost, since I mentioned it already, it's $6,000 per year, but the first semester of it, like we wouldn't, if we did it this spring, we wouldn't pay for it because there's only, I think, like 15 schools they have doing this, and they want to spread it, of course. So, but it would be after that it would be that. So like $3,000 a semester, which is pretty significant, but not like our most necessarily. So thoughts about that. And then some other concerns I had were about storing the books. I know that in the basement of McGregory, they used to have like store Cooley books there, and now they don't. So there should be like a lot of rooms there that are available. But then I don't know if anyone knows any other places because I haven't even talked to them about that. So it's the space that I'm worried about, or like thinking about. And then the checking out the books process, like a one-day pick up your books event would be easy enough and something that we could do like the first time around. But since it's such like an accessible website, it would be better if we could have it that they were able to pick it up like at any time. But then that calls for more students working, and the space would have to be like more, I think the space would be fine, but it would need to be like students working, and like I can't imagine anyone would be paid to do this, so it would need to be like them wanting to do it. So yeah, it's the like workforce, the space, and the fee that are my concerns, and I would really, really love to hear from anyone any advice or thoughts.
Like first, my question was like, it said like, is the program like, so if I have like my challenges book that I like donate to the program, do I then get to like get a book from someone else for free, or do I
It's all free. Like there's no, it's just like first come first serve.
Okay.
If you donate a book, it's just like out of the goodness of your heart kind of, and then you can, people could get 10 if they never donated one.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the money is for the website?
Yes. Yeah. It's just for like the software, I guess. And then they kind of also like our administrators a bit, so that aspect.
Would we need some sort of like approval from administration, because like how would this affect the like bookstore sales and stuff like that?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering too. Because like I wouldn't want to seem like I was like trying to undermine the bookstore. But then again, like can't like free books and like the sustainability aspect is difficult for them to like be firmly against, but definitely it would be like talked about with them. Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe just look at how Claremont McKenna maybe handles the workforce and like the pickup process.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I also think it might be interesting to look into like if they have a limit on how many books one person can get, because if we're trying to like provide accessibility to like a great amount of people on campus, like maybe limiting the amount one person could get could provide more opportunities for other people. But just probably stressing that like if this is gonna be like a limited type of thing, to like be responsible and like about like how much you take versus how much you give.
Yeah, I think that that's true. I think like maybe once people rent, we could have them in the system with like some newsletter where they won't forget about us. But yeah, it's very true. Thank you. Yeah.
I feel like you'd have to like establish some kind of like, like some way to ensure that people are gonna like get the books back at the end. Because I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, again, it's like it's out of goodness of your heart. Like you kind of need to have some system by which people actually give them back at the end, so you can keep the cycle going.
Okay. Yeah.
I was gonna say I like the idea of like maybe limiting amount of books, or alternatively like instead of like the number of books, like the estimated value of books, because like the science textbooks can be like $150, but the Iliad can be like $7.
Yeah, and especially like I think that some will be more available than others, and so like that'll matter too. Yeah.
Maybe just like limiting, I think, how many you can get on like the first day if you do like a 1-day process, because then if you just have like books sitting there that like someone could be using, but like they reach their limit, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. It's
Yeah.
just like a limit on the first day.
Okay, yeah, thank you, because we would probably have to do a 1-day thing, because it seems a lot easier now, so that's, makes a lot of sense. Is this like, something that, if it was branded as like a fully SGA thing, that we think that people would like volunteer enough? Yeah, I don't know, I don't think it would need to be a ton, but, yeah.
I was saying like we could do like, we have like other requirements, so we'd be like, there's like 3 total days worth of work, everyone locking into one.
Yeah.
Calendar time.
Yep, and what are people thinking about the price?
How much did you say again? 2,000?
6,000.
A semester?
No, like 3,000 a semester, but it's by the year.
I mean, if you're thinking about like how much we spend on books to begin with, I feel like it's a really good alternative in general, like $2,000 versus like however much, like it was like $59K.
Yeah.
Like in the presentation on like student books and like student savings stuff.
And how much can I see anyone if they spend? Yeah. So, okay, this was helpful, like I have more to say to Gunyam. And yeah, so it seems like something I'll move forward with the discussion, at least asking these questions, and I'll let you guys know soon enough. All right, okay. Thanks, everyone.
Matt, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, of course.
Can you raise your hand if you live in a sorority or fraternity house right now? Okay. And can you raise your hand if you know someone / would feel comfortable talking to someone living in a sorority or fraternity house? Okay. Just for future reference. Thank you.
Yay. So we have to write just kind of a report of all the progress that we've made this semester. And so I'm offloading that to the Student Outreach Committee for them to write up the report, but just to give them a good list to work from, just so they don't have to go about all the work of figuring out what we've done. I thought it'd be great if we could kind of just raise your hand with just stuff that we've done, if you remember stuff that we've done.
To the religious life funding bills, we funded a bunch of different holidays for groups that they didn't have to go and go to BAC for.
And also the resolution to, I don't know, if we're putting that to like do the college and have them consider funding religious, like necessary religious like events in future semesters.
Anything else? Yeah.
We passed the unlocking this last week.
Yeah. Anything else I don't remember?
We funded STI testing.
This keyboard's so like, you have to dip down so far. Anything else? I feel like we've done more, haven't we?
Well, like, I think we
Did we
can
change
also
like
go
some
into
bylaws?
the agendas and everything we've done. Yeah, a lot of it's been constitutional revision, bylaw revision,
We just opened up all the agendas,
Yeah,
we
it's
just
just
did
like I
the
didn't want to have to
elections
have them go
handbook
through all.
today, that was passed. We just did the elections
Oh, yeah.
handbook today, we have committees now, which is good. Which, thank you guys so much for meeting, I'm really excited that you're working on a lot of cool stuff.
Okay, anything else anyone can remember?
So our
Cool.
group is receiving,
Matt?
The election info.
Oh yeah, I got it on the.
Did we do something with bystander training towards the beginning?
Oh, we did.
of the year?
We did.
I don't remember specifically what it was called.
I don't know if we organized that. I feel like
we
we
funded it.
participated and we funded it.
Hey, why don't we just go with it?
I don't think we funded that, we participated, like we did, we ran a pilot.
Like we participated in the pilot, I don't think we funded that, all the pilot, like we participated.
Okay, so we ran at least like participated in.
Yeah, I don't think we, there's money this we shot.
We did bystander, I thought we were talking about the.
Oh, the, are we talking about the implicit bias?
No, we didn't do it, there was something else we were talking about. Remember the guy was like, who talks about like diversity,
Oh, that was cool.
right? Like, I don't know.
Okay, I'll share this with everyone, and if you can think of anything, just add it on, but let's move on. Discussion on Corona. Yeah.
Motion for a moderated caucus for 10 minutes to discuss what's going on.
Is there a second?
Wait, what?
Yeah, but he wants motion for on moderate. I was just saying, just like bringing it up. Second. Yeah.
But I feel like we should talk about this.
Okay. I agree. All those in favor, just raise your hand. Sweet. The floor is open.
Is anyone else just freaking out right now? Because I feel like we should be doing way more than what we're doing right now. Like, this is not about our power as Senate, this is about our power as a student body and what we want to do and the people that we care about. Like, I know I have a few friends with autoimmune disorders and they could really die from this and I'm just freaking out. I don't know, yeah, just letting this out.
Adam.
I just don't understand why Brad Casey wants us to come back. Especially, like, one thing is to make people stay here, but that's not gonna happen. So he's saying everyone, like, you shouldn't go, but then people are gonna go, and then everyone's gonna come back, and then someone's gonna bring it here. And, like, he suggested the dorms are like hotbeds for the virus. It's going to spread everywhere.
Winter.
Yeah, like just that on, like, kind of like what you said before, like, I commend the people that are like, oh, I'm staying here, I'm not gonna travel, because that's like responsible. But like, I would say no matter what, like, this virus will be in Hamilton. Like, I'm not a scientist, but like, it's spreading everywhere. So like, no matter what, it's gonna come. I would say it's like a very, 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 very unlikely possibility that like somehow it does not come here. So like, no matter what we do, and like, if you choose to stay, I think the ultimate effect. So like, I don't know, like, I'm not really sure who I'm supposed to like tell this to, because like, I honestly like so surprised that the email somehow like made everything work.
I just think the faculty doesn't see the big picture, doesn't see the whole picture. There was this Hold missing. on. There's an assumption that you all think that it's the faculty that is controlling the situation. How this process works is that there is a body of 50 people called the Emergency Operations Committee that met today at 2 p.m. They've been working on their contingency plans for the past week and a half, probably for, I think it's the past 2 weeks. They met today, they gave the executive committee a round of scenarios to choose from, and they chose on the best possible decision given the scenarios. There's a lot, there's a lot more at play than we all think. There's a lot more at play than we all think it is. It's not just us, it's not just faculty, it's not just staff, it's the broader Hamilton community. It's about how the university is supposed to function after this. There's a lot that they're weighing at the same time.
But the virus is going to end up here, so I don't see how this is the best scenario.
The problem is that
I think we all agree this doesn't seem like the best process. Just like, is there any, I don't really understand, is there anyone that knows if we can do anything, or like how we can share?
I don't really think you can do anything considering break starts on Friday.
Yeah.
You can protest right now out of President Casey's house.
Oh my god.
Here, wait.
I mean, because I know they said in the email, like, because I was really wondering, I'm like, well, why do they want us to come back to Colgate so bad? They said to make like an easier transition to like in-person like teaching, and I just feel like that's not responsible. Like, you should have a solid plan. Like, that's not playing it safe. It's like, oh, in case we decide to like change to like in-person teaching all of a sudden, we want you to be here. It's like, that's not how it should be. That's not playing it safe. That's not safe for anyone.
You also just can't, like, stop life as we know it. Like here on campus.
We can, but like, does
Like,
everybody
I'd
want
still
to
like to graduate in 4 years. Like, I
Yeah,
can't
but I
go
can't
to
pay for
spend
it.
another year at school. Like, I would love that to happen. And like, I feel like what people are suggesting, like canceling the rest of the semester. I don't know what that
All
means.
universities have done that.
I don't mean canceling classes, I don't mean canceling like our academics, but like just us, like our physical bodies being here on campus, I don't think is necessary. We can still earn our credits online.
Yeah, you can fully finish a semester online without too much trouble.
Those are just my thoughts.
Problem is, it's a double-edged sword because there are international students, and like I live in Westchester, so I'm way safer here
I'm
than
an
I am.
international student, and we can have the option to just stay on campus until we're scheduled to leave. Like, we can take
Right,
online
but you
classes.
have that now too, because
on
classes are online. If you have an autoimmune disorder, like you said, then you can just as easily take your class from home. I think he's suggesting that people come back, but like if you really needed to, you can go home and take classes online. But if you close the campus, you give people no option to stay on campus, and that means that people like me and like other people that are international, people that live in Italy, people that live in like basically all of Europe, China, they're gonna have to go back to places where they're way more at risk. Right now we have no infections on this campus, and so I think absolutely, I'm not arguing that in the slightest. All I'm saying is that you need to give people the opportunity to either stay here and be safer, or if they have like an autoimmune disorder, to go back and take classes online, which is what this plan is doing. This is not a horrible plan.
No, the plan isn't allowing people to stay away and take online classes away.
I promise you, if you had a disorder that was threatening your life and you emailed, not even President Casey, if you emailed your academic advisor and you said, look, I need to take my classes at home online because otherwise I'm at risk, they would totally let you do that. I'm 100%.
What about everyone else? Yeah.
Everyone else would get infected with corona. I think the mortality rate for people, for healthy people in our age bracket is 1 in 500. So, like, there's no good option here. Obviously, this is a horrible virus, but like, we're working with what we have, and I think that this is a pretty solid plan.
I see that too. There's no perfect plan, and I think it's important for us to recognize that. And it certainly sounds like there's not a lot we can do, so I'm not sure how long I'll keep this conversation going, just in the interest of time, but yeah. yeah.
I mean, just because the flu won't kill you doesn't mean you should get it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I dodged the flu.
But the point is that it gives you an option to be where you're sick is.
Yeah, no, I think to see that point there.
Here for some
I
people,
think-
for others.
Exactly. It's
I
more
just think
freedom.
no matter what the plan that came out was, it's gonna receive backlash, and I know like I'm confident in our administration and everyone that was on that committee to make a good decision. So like, no matter what came out, someone was gonna be mad about it, and I think this gives, like what you said, it gives people the best opportunities to stay safe. Yeah, you can go home if you want, but like be aware of where you are, be aware of like who you're coming into contact to, and like, you know, like check yourself. And then, but like, ultimately, this is the decision that was made, so we just have to go with it.
Yeah,
I
also,
think it's important for us to, sorry, go ahead right after me, but like for us to consider the messaging that we should send out to students, and whether like encouraging people to stay and encouraging people to not go to Europe. Just as a student body, we obviously, given this plan, we don't have any right to enforce anything on anybody, but I think we should send out a message that supports the
The
student
plan
body's
should be,
message.
if you leave campus, you shouldn't be able to come
Yeah.
back. You should take
Yeah.
online classes for the rest of the semester.
Do that. The issue is with universities that they don't have the legal restrictions that you want them to have. They can't do that. Even
Yeah, but why would someone come back if they have the option to finish classes online?
I think more so like it's about making like a statement about like being selfless, and I think like the SGA should just
This
like,
is
should
not
just.
the time to make a statement. This is the time to like be serious.
I think
Do
the
stuff.
email should have made it more like clear that you should, like, I think definitely, like, if you leave, like, you should know that you do have the accessibility of classes through your laptop, but they should make that more clear instead of saying all students have to be back by the 23rd.
Yeah.
Like, they should state that it's flexible, and that if you're better off being home and taking online classes, then you're free to do that. Instead of saying everybody's mandated to return to campus on this date.
Yeah.
I very much agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I feel like, I don't know if this is what Chris was referencing or not, but I feel like we also have to think about the Hamilton community and like all the local businesses and the people who work at Frank and stuff, like they're kind of like dependent on us being here and making their like livings off of student income, student money, and so like we have to think about more than just like our university, but also like everyone in the community.
Also, that being said, like, in also making decisions about whether we should leave campus and come back, like, thinking about that we are not the only people here, and, like, we are in a community, like, surrounded by, like, people who might not be college age and less at risk like us, and we also are in a community with medical facilities that, like, probably couldn't handle something like this. And so I think, like, as student leaders, like, we do have power to try to encourage people to make responsible decisions, and, like, that's what we can tangibly do in the next, like, 2 or 3 days, and that's what we, like, should probably be trying to spread.
Yeah.
Yes, and one of the people that I've talked with, because I think, I hope the consensus that I think, like, talking about why the plan we have is a shitty one is like what everyone wants to do. And, like, obviously that parts of it aren't perfect, but I think, like, again, like, we could write a resolution in the next 20 minutes saying, like, this plan is stupid, we need to do X, Y, Z, and, like, the, like, board and the committee is not gonna be like, oh, sorry, and then change it. So I think, like, the best we can do is, like, again, I think just draft up something quick, saying, like,
students to be, make
don't leave
selfless
campus,
decisions.
and if you do, like, again, or make sure that, yeah, they have the accessibility to take classes at home. I think, again, and that's, like, the most impact, the most tangibly useful, like, most tangibly use of our time.
There's a group of students that want to do that, like, right now, I think.
Why don't we just do it?
Do we want to do that as student body right now? Like,
Sending out an email to the student body, is that what you want attempting to do right now, or?
Are you talking about a resolution or an email?
I don't know, just saying, like, I don't want to have a 30-minute conversation or anything like this stuff, so yeah, I'll do it.
Like you said, like if you're going to group meetings, it doesn't have to be like an official email. Cause I literally heard people like still saying like, oh yeah, this person's home, somebody picked them up, and this person's like, I feel like everyone's just gonna like just out of panic, and like people's families aren't thinking the same way we are, so I feel like a lot of people's parents are like, come home, because they're not like thinking. So I just think that we do need to like put something else that please don't leave unless like someone's dying or like something, like just please stay here, and if you leave, just like I don't know, don't come back.
if you leave, wash your hands a lot.
Yeah, wash your hands a lot.
just practice general classes.
I just think online courses, the rest of the semester should just be online for everyone, and those who leave should take the online courses from home or wherever they are, and those who choose to stay should finish the semester on campus. And that is the ideal situation, and that is what should have been done. I don't know why everyone's making it more difficult than it seems. This is how the plan should have went, and they've had a couple weeks to figure that out, and they didn't, so.
Yeah, I'm like confused why it seems like Colgate's the only school that's like doing something different than literally every other school.
Yeah.
Like it's very troubling to me.
I don't
Like I don't know.
understand, like, I know Colgate, they're not, it's not
I don't really know where to go from here. I'm not gonna lie. Like I think there's definitely different opinions within this body, and so it would be difficult for us to draft something up where we have a common idea when we all don't really have a common idea. And so I don't really know where to go to move forward.
I just want to say, like, personally, I'm, like, completely fine with the plan of just, like, forcing people to, like, have to go back home. I know some schools are allowing, like, international students or, like, people who, like, request to stay home, but, like, personally, I would not want to go home for the rest of the semester, like, to an unemployed mom, single mom, just living alone. I went home, like, 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was not food in my fridge.
Then you could still have the option to take it if you want, with an ideal plan.
I wanted to say, yeah, I failed, in my analysis before, I failed to see that aspect, that like the duality of options here, and I think that's the problem, that message is not getting across enough to students, because it feels like we don't have an option, right, to make this work the best way we can. If we want to stay here, then we can stay here, and if we want to work from outside, we can work from outside. I think that will help kind of, I think what you guys can do is make that message clear, or at least request with whoever formulated this, if that is, you know, a possibility, or that they can restate that that's a possibility. Because right now I think the biggest problem is that people feel like they're mandated to come back, even though classes are being taken online.
Also, I feel like part of, like, the email said, like, the reason they want people to come back is, like, go back to, like, having normal, like, in-person classes, because that's, like, what Colgate is built on, having, like, small classes, being able to interact with your professors and have discussions in your classes. So they're just, like, trying to get that back to normal as soon as possible, and 3 or 4 weeks is what they calculated to, like, be the optimal amount of time to, like, minimize the risk of professors possibly getting sick.
What about other students? The corona's just gonna have worse, it's not getting any better.
Most of the students on campus are immunocompromised, though.
And the ones that
But
are.
I'm not just talking about those who are immunocompromised. We are normally human beings. If we get flu that we cannot fight against, we're gonna be hurt, and Hamilton health system will not be able to handle that. So.
I just don't see this I'm not gonna lie, like I don't see this conversation going any further.
I think I've identified 2 things that we all agree on. I think 1, we all agree that immunocompromised people should have the option to take online classes from home. And 2, we all agree that if you absolutely do not need to, like, leave campus for spring break, then don't do that. So if we want to send something out, we should send those 2 messages.
That's a perfect message. Just are there any suggestions how we should go about doing that? Do you think it should be an email, resolution?
What Kate and I would do is we'll draft a message. Technically, we don't have to run it by the administration, but in a sense, we probably will, just try and make sure of messaging, because it's will be going out to the entire student body. As far as directly speaking to President Casey, I mean, he's around, we know where his office is, we could talk to him, but I imagine they're very busy right now. I couldn't, like, I walked by Dean Huss's office recently, and they are all, a lot of them are all in there trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Like, I know we're all stressed out and nervous, but their job is also trying to figure out what is going on and making the best possible decisions. Like, I know we're very, like, upset and anxious, but my recommendation is to try to make plans for the next week or so and seeing, like, where that plays out. Like, it's a very dynamic situation with the coronavirus as it sits. And the university's decision could very well change on Friday as well, given the situation that they might have. So try as best as you can to remain calm, deal with what we have, what we've been given, and try to make the best possible decision from that. of the situation, and they're leaving in, 3 days at this point, so try to be as logical with the situation. I know it's hard, but it's the cards you've been dealt.
Obviously, an official message sent out by Kate and Chris is super important, but we're also all leaders and we all have friends. Just encourage all your friends to do is what Matt said. So, I think that's all we really need to say. Are there any other announcements?
Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Wash your damn hands. All right, Chair would be in favor of a motion to adjourn. All those in favor? Awesome.